Let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that is in a bit of a nostalgic mood at the moment. My name is Tosin, and I am your host who has gone to that age where random things from his childhood pop back into his head, and he goes, "Oh my god, that happened, I can't believe this." Joining me on the Isle of Wight are Sharon.
Hello.
And joining me in another location, also on the Isle of Wight, socially distanced but waving to us, is Shaun.
Hiya.
Yes, well, we have been having a little bit of a reminisce of me about random stuff that came on Nigeria TV in the 1980s and 90s. But you might be wondering, why are we talking about that when this show is called Netflix vs. Cinema? This might be the first time you're listening to us. You might be wondering what on earth it is that we're all about. Now, we are, before lockdown kicked off, what we were doing was we were going to the cinema, watching 3 films, which it looks like we might be able to do again very soon.
Yep.
Yeah, with some news that came out this week. We would watch 3 films at cinema. We would sit at home and we would watch 3 things at home, be it TV series or films on your random streaming platforms. Netflix is still the king. Netflix is still the daddy. Hence why we call it Netflix vs. Cinema. We would rate them all out of 5 and we would decide who has won this week. Where was our money better spent? There is no cinema, so what we're going to do is we're going to kick off by talking about what we've been watching on Netflix during the lockdown or on other streaming platforms. Then we're going to have a cinema interview where we speak to a cinephile who absolutely loves cinema, cannot wait for cinema to come back, and we ask them a couple of questions. Then we wrap up the show. We try and figure out what they look like based on their voice. We go home. We do it all again next week. So now we on this thing we have we love audience interaction, don't we, guys?
We do.
We do.
Yeah, we love it when we guess what people look like based on their voice, and they send us a picture and they say this is what we look like. We love it when people actually agree to come on the show because we're like, oh my god, you want to talk to us? Please be our friend.
Yeah. Or send us a message or anything on Facebook or Twitter or anywhere. Yeah, any contact we get.
Yes.
It's like, hooray!
Yeah. We're like, oh my god, people are actually listening. People actually paid attention to us. And a couple of weeks ago, we had Patrick Russell. And Patrick, you, Shaun, Shaun, you and Patrick had a good chat about stuff and about films and about all that. And we have another one today because the interview today is going to be Shaun's good old friend Butch, who he's spoken about before on the show, but we will leave that for the interview. And Patrick has listened to his show, sent us a picture, and now he's gotten back in touch with us with a quiz.
Oh,
yeah! Patrick sent us a quiz. This is going to test it because I've looked through this and I only know like 2 of the answers. So I want to see what you guys think before we get onto what it is that we've seen. Okay, before we get what it is what we've seen, he has sent us a quiz and he's got 10 quotes. Oh no, 12. So he's got 12 quotes from some of his favorite films, and he'll give you the quotes and he's like, "Can you guess the film?" They are not in chronological order. So the first quote is, "I'd make a good Gordon."
I'd make a good Gordon.
Make a good Gordon. And from the same film, are there are there 2 as in dollar? Aye, and there's 2 G's in bugger off.
Got to be a comedy, I would think. I was going to say, funny enough, I was thinking cartoon just purely for the fact that 2 Gordons, Gordon Pasha. But I don't think it's that because I think it's that bugger off. I can't imagine.
No.
You can't imagine that being in a cartoon.
And say, "Oh, bugger off."
Well, the thing is, he sent me the answers. Although I haven't looked at the answers. I haven't looked at the answers yet. So
what do you think it is, Tosin?
I don't have a clue. I am blank. I'm thinking with that kind of wordplay, like I make a good Gordon. It makes me think it might be something around the 40s, 50s. Because you didn't, but the problem is that then, if in the same film it has bugger off, I don't think they would have said that in the 40s or 50s.
No, there would have been. There's rules
what
about
something? What about something? Sounds like something like maybe Airplane or maybe Airplane sequel or something like that.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know. Perhaps it's because he says Shirley, doesn't he? And things like that.
Don't call me Shirley.
Don't call me Shirley.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the bugger off means it has to be British.
Yes.
It has to be.
That's true.
So this is a good one, and I will. I mean, I think I'm gonna say all these, see how many we can get now. Maybe I'll leave it till the end, and maybe we'll reveal the answers at the end. What do you guys reckon?
Okay. I'll jot some notes down then, so I can remember.
Number 2, and everyone who listens to this, play along at home. If you can figure it out without Google, let us know on Twitter, Netflix vs Cinema. Same thing on Facebook. Just get in touch with us and let us know if you managed to figure out Patrick's quiz before we gave you the answer. So, quote number 2. What's the matter? Okay. You never had your hand on a teat before? Not one this size.
I don't know. That sounds something like Dumb and Dumber. I don't know.
Yeah. I was thinking something along the lines of like Woody Allen, everything you wanted to know about sex but were afraid to ask.
Yeah, good point.
Not one this size. Yes, it sounds a bit Carry On to me, I have to say.
Oh yeah, a bit Carry On.
Oh yeah. That's a good point. Shaun. I'm not big on comedies really. I'm not like a major comedy aficionado.
Especially with this I'm trying to think, is there like a Carry On Up the Farm or something?
Carry on.
What about Carry On Camping? Because didn't they go
Carry
to a farm?
Cowboy. No,
Carry On Somerset.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know. Yeah,
I've got to admit, I'm blank on this one. I'm blank on that one. Okay, so number 3, is this heaven? No, it's Iowa.
Well, we know that. I do know that one.
Oh yeah,
that's. Can we say? Or we don't know? Well, that's Field of Dreams, isn't it?
All right. Okay. Cool. No, I think if you.
Yes, I think you're right. It is. Yeah.
If you know,
Joe Jackson.
If you know it, say it. Okay. Cool. So you reckon 3 is Field of Dreams? So we have answered that.
Yes.
Okay. Now this is a difficult one to say. It's hear her here. As in hear her, the animal, then here. So hear her here. And from the same film, yeah, if I medicined you, you'd think a brain tumor was a birthday present.
You see, I know it's not hair, but I always remember in Hail Caesar when it was like they going, "'Twas that it will, it was." You know what I mean?
Twit that it were so simple. Twit that it were so simple.
That's the one.
Yeah. Twit that it were so simple. Triple young boy. Twit that it were so simple.
That's the one. So I don't. I don't know.
It's complicated.
That's a tough one. I do like this. I do like this quiz though. We'll have to do one of these. Our favourites each time.
I think so.
Not very good with quotes.
Okay.
Next week, yeah.
Now this is the first one. Okay, no, second. Number 5. If only you'd seen what I'd seen with your eyes. Now this is a film I'm sure I've seen. The quote rings a massive bell, but I cannot figure out what film it is. If only you'd seen what I've seen with your eyes. I feel like it's got to be a body swap thing.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think it's
not like Blade Runner or something like that.
Well, I think it sounds like the Roy Batty speech at the end of Blade Runner.
It does, yeah. But
it's got a hint of that, hasn't it? But he doesn't say that.
Because, before he says, I've seen things tripping off the thing.
I've seen things, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, because if that's the case, he's speaking to Deckard, and he's saying, if only you have seen what I've seen with your eyes, but he's not using Deckard's eyes, unless he's talking about the human race and the eyes that they've made for him. So so I don't know. It might be like a obscure bit of that Roy Batty speech from the end of Blade Runner. But either way,
probably not.
Either way, I'll say, Patrick, so far you're doing really well and you're stumping us.
Like that Bicentennial Man or something. I don't know, that sort of thing.
I think you're right. If only you'd seen what I'd seen with your eyes. I think you might be right. I think it might be Bicentennial Man.
Where did that come from, Sharon? That's brilliant.
That's the only thing that came to me anyway.
It might be Bicentennial Man. It might be. Although, Patrick has a very weird, eclectic sense of, like flavor or sense of taste. So we'll see. Now it could be. I don't know. Now number 6 is. And this is the first one that I got. It's the first one I got of the entire thing. Is, for you are in Elysium and already dead.
Well, we know that's famous, isn't it? Good old Russell
Crowe. Yeah, Russell Crowe, Gladiator. I was like, yep, got that one.
Exactly, Gladiator.
Yep. I think I only got 2 in this entire list of 12. Number 7.
Wow.
Number 7. Whatever your dream was, it wasn't a happy one, was it?
Ooh. Really, I should try and remember back to the interview and the films he liked.
He likes everything. I think what I remember from the interview is
Yeah.
that Patrick likes everything.
Everything,
He will
yeah.
watch. He will watch anything. That's all right. Cool. So that's number 7. Number 8. I'll be right there after my AA meeting. Oh, Larry, I didn't realize you had a drinking problem. Well, I don't really, but that's where all the deals are being made these days.
I know that one. I know that one.
Do you? Wall Street?
Is that
No.
LA Story
Well, it might be. It might be.
with what's Tim Robbins? It's Tim Robbins, isn't it? And it was directed by
No, L.A. Story is
at the time.
L.A. Story is Steve Martin.
No, it's not Steve Martin one. It's Tim Robbins, and it's got
that's-
Julianne Moore.
That's the player.
It's about Hollywood.
That's
the player.
the
I
player.
think it's that.
Okay. All right.
All right. Okay. Cool.
I was thinking maybe
I'm pretty sure it's that.
maybe Larry Crown, but I've never seen that film just because he had the name Larry in it.
I'm trying to think who the director was of the player. He did
Robert
quite a lot
Altman.
of stuff. Robert Altman. I'm pretty sure it's that. Robert Altman's the player.
All right. Okay. Cool. Number 9. You don't fancy me, do you, miss?
No, I wouldn't know that.
Me neither. I'm thinking.
Bad teacher.
I was thinking because of the language is very English. I was thinking the one with Judi Dench and Kate Blanchett.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Notes on a Scandal.
Notes on a Scandal. That's what I would say that was.
Yeah. Okay. Now this one is really generic. I think it could be any film whatsoever, because this is one of those lines, like like follow that car, or that shows up, or they don't make them like they used to. That shows up again over and over in films, and it's you should see the other guy.
Oh, I know that.
Well,
I know. You should see the other guy. It's probably like you say. That's loads, isn't it?
yeah,
that is reminiscent of something. I'm trying to think what it is. I was thinking like some like it hot. It's in a sort of slightly ironic way.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
no, I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's that.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Now, in number 11, and this is an open goal. This is an open goal, which is why I got it. I'll have what she's having.
Oh yeah,
when
that's
Harry met Sally.
Sally. Yeah, the old scene. Yeah, that famous scene that people try to recreate.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you guys ever seen a thing? It's like a movie quiz. They like do it in the movies or something like that. It was on. I think it was on Sky. It might have been, but it was Alan Carr, and he'd have people on, and they actually had. They did a scene. But they had to do it in like a cafe in front of people, and there was Jennifer Saunders.
All right.
And they had to have like a squeegee ketchup bottle, and they dared people, and they're going like, like squeeze.
What
the
to recreate
bottle
that when Harry met Sally?
When Harry met Sally, yeah, but just in like a cafe in London, just like a greasy spoon cafe, and you see all the people looking, and that it was what was it called? Yeah, Alan Carr was the thing. I thought it was really really funny because they used to have they had Michael Sheen on there as a regular sort of captain, and then they had the bold comedian.
I know the one it was on. I know the one you mean. I didn't watch it, but I know the one you mean. Yeah.
And then they'd have people on that I think didn't really know what they'd let themselves in for, because they used to have to dress up and do scenes from films, and one would have the right lines and the other one would have to improvise. So they'd pick famous scenes. Actually, I'd like to see that again. They don't. Yeah, it's not like that in the movies or something like that. But it was great, and I just remember them. They actually filmed. They actually went out and they filmed, and Jennifer Saunders was in one, and she had to go. Do the.
Do the Meg Ryan bit.
She was really good. Yeah. So, I might try and catch that.
Oh, all right. When you do find it, let me know what it was. And
I will do.
Yeah, and the final episode on the final question on the Patrick Johnson or Patrick Russell quote quiz is, and tomorrow we'll come back and we cut off your Johnson. It's written as Johnson. I'm not sure if it's Johnson, but it's written as Johnson. It's like, and tomorrow we come back and we cut off your Johnson.
Ooh, don't know. No idea.
Yeah, I've seen that film.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think where that comes from.
All right. So shall we carry on, and then at the end of the show we'll say these are what the answers were.
Yeah.
I've got an idea. I think number 7, the one about whatever your dream was, it wasn't a very happy one. Could that be a matter of life and death?
That's a good shout.
Because he's in hospital,
That's
isn't he? And he wakes up at the end, and there's a nurse hovering over him. But I don't know.
That
Or
is.
you'd say that was a dream, but it's a possibility.
What about It's a Wonderful Life? It's a Wonderful Life. Is there something in there about?
No.
He does dream in there.
He does.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I guess whatever your dream was, I guess that could be Clarence talking to George. But
yeah.
But hey.
I think yours is a better shout though, Sharon.
That's one I thought of anyway. So I got. We'll come back.
Okay, so
I
only got two. I only got two out of all of those, and I think with your help, we've definitely added another one. Maybe, maybe two.
I've got 6 answers, 6 answers written down because I've gone over 6 answers written down as possibles.
Okay, all right. We'll find out. We'll find out at the end of the show how right or wrong we are. You guys might need to remember me because I might very well forget. Anyway,
I've made slight crib notes here so I can have a look.
Okay, so that's our version of a Zoom quiz. Now, I mean, they're all the rage now, Zoom quizzes. But let's get on to what it is that we've actually been watching this week. Have we got anything on the table? I've got something on the chopping block.
For me, really, I can't say I've watched anything. I've been on YouTube and I've watched a few of it's called The Actors Studio, a lot of interviews with like Robert Redford. Yeah. So I've watched a number of those.
He died in March, didn't he?
Did he?
Lipton? Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah. And
the lockdown, he died.
And because I was looking at Vietnam, I got onto this Vietnam, and I watched a few Vietnam things about guys who was there. A guy called Earhart, was a poet and that. And then I thought, blimey, when I was on my travels, I read a book called About Face, which was about this colonel in Vietnam that was groomed for the top slot in the corporation. He wrote this book about how bad it was and all that. And so, I mean, he passed away last year, but his name was Hackworth. And so I watched about 3 interviews of when he wrote this book because he was hounded by the American military. And he said he was lucky that he said the ABC put a news crew with him because while he was in Vietnam, he was like, there was maybe attempts on his life and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
He was so critical of all the stuff. And so, yeah. So, but no, he's great. And obviously he was allowed back into the States in the end because like he said, they were all sort of armchair generals that weren't running the war. They had no idea. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing really, mainly historical stuff.
All right.
And film stuff.
It's
good though. It's really good.
Sounds pretty good. One of the things I'm hoping to watch before next week is The Five Bloods, Spike Lee's new movie on Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, which is about 4 black Vietnam War veterans. And it's been getting rave reviews. People have been saying this thing could be an Oscars contender. And it's but I think it's being put on Netflix under their Black Lives Matter series. So essentially, films that are made about black people by black people. I'm not entirely sure what the criteria is for it, but it's actually being labeled as that. But everybody says everything I've heard has been people go, "Oh my God, is Spike Lee back on form the way he should be?" So that's one I think, Shaun. I would be interested to see.
I will definitely see that because, as I say, I haven't really watched much on Netflix because I haven't. I stopped the subscription.
Yeah.
So I might have to get it back because they keep sending me little messages saying, "Come back and join us."
Well, I'm surprised.
We've got lots of things.
I'm surprised that your landlord doesn't have Netflix.
Well,
okay. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
Let's leave it there.
Okay.
I thought we were about to go into last week where we got Simon. Simon, she got I got extraction from my sources. We're about to get back into this. Let's just leave it there. All right, cool. Joe, I might have a way for you. We'll talk when we're not being recorded. So Sharon, what you been seeing?
Well, I watched the 3-parter on BBC, the Salisbury Poisonings. So that was been my appointment viewing. I thought, no, I want to watch all of that. And yeah, I've been going through the Netflix, just releases, all the, you may like this because you watched this thing. And I have struggled to find anything to get my teeth back into. So I haven't really watched a lot this week. But yeah, I did watch the Salisbury Poisonings.
What's that like? Because it's one of these things. I know that they did something on the Windrush scandal recently as well. And they did something on the Salisbury Poisoning. So there's this also like recent public affair thing, make a drama about it. And I don't usually get on with them that well. But what was this one like?
No, I thought it's done it very well. It was taking it from the point of view of the public safety aspect of it. So one of the main, they say it's based on recordings and interviews, and because it's quite recent history, there's obviously all the media, it was all over it. So they've used all the footage they had, and they sort of built this drama, and they basically follow the main protagonist that we follow is the sergeant who was one of the first on the Skripal's house, and he was infected, and you see it from the point of view of his family, and then the lady who leads the public safety investigation. So it was her decision basically to sort of shut down Salisbury, and we saw all those sort of metal barriers go up all around the places where they'd been, because initially they did not know what the contamination was and what had caused them to fall ill. So basically they shut down everywhere where the Skripals had been. Within hours, it was very quickly, they thought they don't know what's caused this, in case it is something that can get into the public water, because first of all, thought it might have been food poisoning. So they're thinking, okay, if it's food poisoning, then we need to make sure that the restaurant is shut down, where they've been has been shut down, and they thought it was a contaminant. They thought, okay, if it's been contaminant, we need to treat this like it's highly contagious. So they basically shut down everything, and she did that very quickly. And I think because she did that very quickly, that it saved, literally saved potentially thousands of lives.
It's weirdly timely, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's weirdly timely.
My friend, I was talking about this to my friend, and she was saying about watching the people with their hazmat suits on and shutting down these places and not touching stuff, and how one person was saying, I don't think because she was saying, we need to shut the police station down, because this detective sergeant, he'd got ill very quickly. Well, but they hadn't recognised that it was connected to the investigation for about 3 days.
Yeah.
And he'd been home, and none of his family got ill. And so when identified that he was a victim of this Novichok poisoning, they then sort of retraced his steps. Okay. And you see them sort of shutting this whole lot down, and the way he was treated, like in the hospital, they were suddenly having to put the gloves on, and they couldn't touch him, but then they were told, don't touch him because he is potentially a crime scene. His body is a crime scene.
Yeah.
It's very Okay. The timing of it is extraordinary.
Yeah. All right. Now, Shaun has got that ants in his pants look. He's got his. So Shaun, go for it.
Okay. What I did watch, and I watched it with my landlord, was Contagion.
Oh.
That's when Sharon said about that's very said. I did actually watch Contagion on I think it was Tuesday night.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched that. So that's all I wanted to say. It was just as soon as Sharon said.
Hazmat suits.
Oh no, you said it's very apt. Yeah, hazmat suits.
Yeah.
I watched Contagion. And I reckon they reckon all the modern stuff that they've done with this lockdown, they've taken from that movie.
Yeah, okay. We'll come back to Contagion after we get Sharon's rating for the Salisbury Poisonings. Okay. So Sharon, what's your rating, worth a watch or not?
I think it's definitely worth a watch. And I'm also the third person. They follow 3 families. The third person is the lady who actually died of it. She was I'm trying to think what her name was. I think it's Nina. She was. That
was like a week later, and then she found something in the park.
That was 2 months. It was about 2 months later.
Okay.
It was months later. It was after they'd reopened Salisbury and everything was fine, and then suddenly these 2 people get ill. And what they had found was this guy had been previously homeless, and he was kitting out his brand new flat. And he'd basically been sort of like skip surfing. And in one of these skips, he'd found a sealed, brand new bottle of perfume that was still in a plastic security case. And he was like, well, this is really expensive stuff. It was properly branded. The make and model was proper, the right, it looked like it was a proper design of perfume. And he gave it to his girlfriend. And they broke the seal in his flat. And then she took it out and went, oh, that doesn't smell much, and did it again. And basically, she's just contaminated herself, and then she collapsed within an hour, and then he collapsed within 2 hours because he just sniffed it. So I can't really smell much either. and that's when when the actual death from this Novichok occurred. Unfortunately for her, because she was in the flat, she never took that contaminant anywhere else. So it was even though we know the story, even though it's familiar to us, I thought they did it in such a way that it felt like drama. You felt like you're watching, and you felt a certain tenseness when you're watching it, because even though you know what happens, you're still feeling, oh, don't do that, and and when you see these events unfold, you can feel yourself, that you get tense again. So I thought it was very well done as drama, and very well done, I think it was respectful of the people involved. And at the end of it, they had this sort of photo montage of everyone in the film had said, you see the real people. You see, they sort of showed them and said, okay, this is what's happened to this family since these events. And you saw all the main protagonists. So obviously they must have cooperated in the making of this film. So it felt authentic. It had that ring of truth about it.
How many
stars?
So
to me, it worked as drama. I would give it a 4-star rating.
Good stuff.
I thought I would definitely rate it. To me, it was sort of had that feel like Chernobyl did. How you just you feel it felt authentic when you're watching it.
Okay.
But dramatic at the same time. So I'd rate it. I thought it was very well done and sensitively done. So I'd give it definitely strong 4.
Good stuff. Shaun, Contagion. You were saying about you reckon that there are a lot of things that are happening now they took out of Contagion.
Yeah, I reckon that was like a precursor. I mean, what year was that? What year was Contagion? It must
2011.
have been 90s, was it? Oh, 2011. I'm miles out then, because I just watched it, and
9 years.
I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is like all social, and I quite. To be fair, I don't know if I must have watched it. I must have seen it at the cinema, but
I didn't
really twig at the time. Yeah, but what I mean is to see it again. It's like, wow, look at this. This is, and what I really liked was, like, because it starts off on day 2, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Does it start off on day. Yeah, it starts off on day 2, and then it goes back.
It doesn't show you day 1 until much later. Yeah.
Yeah, till the end of the film. So so I've just found that incredibly interesting.
Because Contagion has been in the news this week. Contagion was actually when this whole thing kicked off, when the whole coronavirus thing kicked off, Contagion jumped up all of the streaming platforms. It was that number 1 watched film once this whole thing kicked off. And people have been said that it's stupidly prophetic. And the BBC this week interviewed the guy who was the consultant on Contagion, as in, if we had worldwide pandemic, this is what would happen. And he said that he was like, the reason I got involved in this film is because I wanted to prevent a pandemic actually happening. I wanted to sort of like show people this is how vulnerable we are. This is what could happen if we ended up with a pandemic. And the more you look at that film, the more you think, oh my God, it's a documentary. It's like someone made a documentary about something that hasn't happened yet.
I must say, I watched it at the time. I haven't seen it since.
Well,
it's interesting the way it plays out, though, because I can't remember how the film progresses. But when I was looking at the Johns Hopkins University website, because where the daily coronavirus updates in this country, they've almost been like pushed to the bottom of the news headlines. There's always something that sort of trumps it at the moment, and so our figures are looking reasonable. But you think worldwide, it's still 1 million cases a week have been diagnosed.
Yeah.
And you think it's getting to the point where it's going to be more than 1 million cases a week if it continues at this rate. So we're acting like it's all over, and it's like, hey, you know what? We've got this sussed.
Well, some people are, yeah.
Around the world, it's like, actually, it's escalating, because when you look at that trajectory, it's getting steeper when you look at worldwide figures. And it was last week. It was less than a week to go from 7 million cases worldwide to 8 million cases worldwide. So we're still in the middle of middle of the film, people.
Yeah, we're still in the middle of the film. So even the time frame in which they find a vaccine in the film, it's pretty similar to what they're saying now at the moment.
Yeah.
So Shaun, how many stars would you give Contagion?
Well, I probably would have given it a 3 if I'd have just watched it, and this wouldn't be. But I'm going to give it a 4 purely for the fact that it's like a documentary
of something that they didn't. Yeah.
So we're going to give that a 4. Yeah, I'd give that.
Don't be prescient.
Yeah, I think because of the way they did it, there's no way you have to do it. You have to give it a 4, because you're like, oh my God, they were so on the money. All right. Now my viewing thing for this week, I started watching Artemis Fowl on Disney Plus. It was going to be our first Disney Plus review.
I've seen the banner for that.
Yeah, I started watching Artemis Fowl, and let me put it this way: I started watching it. My internet went down earlier today, and I was thankful that my internet went down so I could stop watching it. But So, but I finished watching that.
That good.
It was that good. Oh god. I'm looking at it. I have like a list of things I've written down that I'm like, I need to have a rant about this. I need to have a real rant about this. So, but I'm keeping to the rules of the show. I'm waiting until I finish watching it, and then I'm going to do that next week. But the thing I've actually finished watching is the first Apple TV Plus thing that we're going to review on this podcast, and it is The Morning Show. The Morning Show, which was because Apple TV, you know, when Netflix came in, and Netflix was like the daddy of all the streaming sites for ages, then Amazon Prime came up, and then Disney Plus was coming out, but Apple had their own thing, which was Apple TV Plus. And they had their own original programming, and the big thing that they launched with was called The Morning Show, starring Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon and Steve Carell. And the whole idea behind this is that Jennifer Aniston and Steve Carell are co-hosts of a morning show. So in this bridge, you know, when you have like, you know, GMTV on ITV or BBC Breakfast, but essentially what those shows are modeled on, which is the American one. So like the Today Show and all that. And the whole idea is that the male co-host, when you start off at episode 1, there's all of a sudden it becomes aware that there's been this news article that's been released that talks about his sexual misconduct over the last couple of years and how he's abused his power. So it's very, very sort of like, you know, presented with the Me Too thing. It came all about the Me Too thing. People like Harvey Weinstein, I believe like Matt Lauer, who's on the Today Show in America, he had a similar thing. And all these things come out, and it's about how the network reacts to it. And the network are like, that's it, we have to fire the guy, he can't be here anymore. And then Jennifer Aniston becomes they say how we're going to find her new co-host, and it becomes this whole sort of treatise on the Me Too movement and how some people essentially how different people are trying to use it and how people are trying to avoid being caught up in it. And I think you guys saw the film Bombshell, right? I know, Shaun, you did.
Yeah.
You saw the film?
I saw Bombshell. Yeah.
And it covers similar ground to Bombshell, but I think because it has 10 hours as opposed to 2, it actually has more time to go deeper and go into all the gray areas and go into, because it's the fact how you can look at it and you can see, for instance, that because when you meet the Steve Carell character, Mitch Kessler, he is really, really charismatic. He's really, really personable. Everybody loves him. And then you get to see how everybody could love this guy. And you also get to see how some of his behavior, you look at that and you're watching it and you're going, oh my God, ooh, that's not good. There is one particular scene that the whole season kind of builds up to between Steve Carell and I wouldn't say because that might be a spoiler with it, but that scene is so like ants up your back cringy when you're like, oh my God. Oh. But you can also see how from his point of view, he thinks he's done nothing wrong. He thinks all these things were consensual. All these things were. It's like, what the heck? Why are you're trying to come after me for this reason, that reason? And the show works a very tight line, because I think some people will look at it and say you're giving the attacker too much of a play. You're trying to sort of like, excuse their behavior. But I think that they do a very, very fine job, and Mitch and Steve Carell plays it really, really well to walk this line between just somebody who was predatory but didn't think he was being it. He didn't think there was anything wrong with his. And I think Jennifer Aniston is really good. Reese Witherspoon comes in because she ends up being caught in the midst of this power struggle as the new anchor of the show. She gets plucked out of nowhere and being placed down as the new anchor of the show. And it becomes this big, massive power struggle between Jennifer Aniston, who's trying to save her career, and the studio bosses who are trying to save face and claim that they knew nothing about all this and it was just this one guy. And then they're trying to place blame on somebody else to say he's the reason why we have this toxic work environment. It has nothing to do with the boss. And someone else is trying to show off that no, the boss knew about this and the boss was protecting the prize assets, which is why we had this toxic environment. And I think it's a real big juggling act that at the beginning with I wasn't sure I liked. That by the end I was like, no, actually I think I really do like this. But I think full marks have to go to Billy Crudup. Now, Billy Crudup is one of those guys who you think should have been a bigger star than he actually is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think Billy Crudup, you think, I don't understand why this guy was not a bigger star, because he plays an executive, and this executive is walking around loving absolutely loving all the chaos around him. He's loving it. And Billy Crudup plays the entire thing with this massive grin on his face, which is just like, he is having so much fun. And unlike sometimes where you have like, you get the feeling that an actor is having so much fun at the expense of the audience, you feel like this guy, this actor, and you feel like Billy Crudup, the actor, is having more fun than anybody else on that set. And you feel like his character as well is having more fun than anybody else because he's loving all this chaos. And he just, and I think it is, the show is worth watching for Billy Crudup's performance alone, because he just has this massive blank eating grin on his face throughout the entire 10 episodes. And it's a joy. It's an absolute joy to watch him. I would give it a 4 out of 5.
Wow.
Ooh.
So that is the morning show. I mean, honestly, I would say 4 stars. I think it's a good attempt to grapple with the issues with the whole Me Too movement and all that. I mean,
is it just not a sort of rehash of Bombshell? Is it similar vein to Bombshell?
It's a bit different because the thing about it is that because Bombshell is very black and white, and a lot of people, when they complained about Bombshell, they said that the problem was because of the way they made the film, they made it look as if these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, and and a lot of people point out that Megyn Kelly, who is the main character of the film, played by Charlize Theron, in real life, she's a Fox News anchor, she's one of the main people on Fox News, and there's a lot of people who see her as a bad guy. So, but people said that because Bombshell was only 2 hours long, it had to say, all right, we're going to do this whole thing. This is the good guy. This is the bad guy. She's the one who has experienced abuse. Therefore, she's got to be. She's on the side of the good here. And people are like, yeah, but some of her behavior in real life was problematic, And so because there's 10 hours on the morning show, they go a lot more into like Jennifer Aniston. So people point out the fact that, so this guy, Mitch Kessler, he was doing this for 10 years or something like that on the morning show. I think they said they've been together for 15 years. She's been beside him that whole time. And people were saying, so how on earth did he get away with it without her knowing? So they go into the whole question of, was she complicit as a woman in the abuse of other women by keeping quiet? So it's a lot more nuanced, as people who might listen to the show know. I love my nuance. I love it when people don't paint everything black and white. So it's a lot more nuanced, and they go a lot more into whether she knew about it and just turned a blind eye. Was she complicit in it? And because you have this Reese Witherspoon character who comes into the midst of it, and she's kind of like, highly idealistic reporter. She's a person who hasn't been able to hold the job down for too long because she's too idealistic, and she ends up like rubbing people up the wrong way, and she thinks, no, we're supposed to find the truth. And then you put someone like that in the middle of a big media conglomerate that is all about trying to make sure that appearances are right. And there's some really, really cracking scenes in it. There's some cracking interview scenes, even though you know that it's all, they build so much tension in it. And there's just bits where you can see how this person might have gone to that place, how that person might have come in. Martin Short shows up as a director of films who is like, you talk about the casting couch, you talk about all that kind of, he's like, and there's bits in it where people actually, essentially people are forced to examine themselves. They're forced to examine what it is that I've done. Am I abusing my power? Has this gone in? So I feel like it does a good job of trying to explain the issues at the heart of it. There's some bits where it gets a bit polemic. The note it ends on, I think it tries to go for a little bit of a network, I'm mad as hell and I'm not gonna take it anymore thing from Network. It tries to go for one of those sort of moves, and it might not quite work. It might be a bit much, and it might be a little bit unrealistic, but and because of the cast, you've heard all the names I've mentioned, because Apple's approach to streaming things is throw money at it, get all the best people, get big names. So in one show, we're going to have Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Aniston, Billy Crudup, Steve Carell. We're going to bring Martin Short in for 5 minutes. And you have all these people. It's like, we've got Gugu Mbatha Raw. And I looked at this going, how on earth are they going to make a second season of this show? Because all these people are busy.
They've thrown everything at the first one.
Well, no, yeah, because all these people are busy. All these people have packed schedules. You're not going to be able to get them back together to make a second season. But apparently they are doing a second season because there's a lot of dangling bits of storyline that are left. I feel like as a whole, it works on a season on its own. And the problem is that to watch it, you have to have an Apple TV Plus subscription, or as Saima in Dhaka in Bangladesh, you need to have a source. So I don't think many people are going to watch it, but I do think it's a very, very good show. Because when I watched the first couple of episodes, it probably took me about 3 months to see the first 3 episodes and about a month to see the last 7, because it does pick up all of a sudden, and then you go, oh wow, okay, cool, let's see more. So yeah, that's the morning show. Cool. We now come on to the cinema section of our show, and as we said, what we're doing now is we're finding ourselves a lovely cinephile, somebody who loves cinema, someone who has it in their bones, can't live without it. They don't have to have been in the films or anything like that, but they just have to have loved it. And we interviewed them, we asked them 4 questions. We asked them, what was the first film they saw at the cinema? What was the last film they caught before the lockdown? Why they think people go to the cinema? Why do they go to the cinema? And what they're most looking forward to when cinemas reopen. Now, we had an interview with Butch, Shaun's friend, who used to throw keys down to him so that he could come into the cinema and watch films from a projection booth. And I'm not sure we answer any of those questions. I think we sort of touch on those. No. I think we touch on those questions, but we dance around a lot of them because Butch has a lot of stories about what cinema used to be like. And as you might have guessed, I love stories of a bygone era. I love stories of this is what cinema was like before I ever even got a chance to go into one. And Butch, who has essentially his entire working life, as he would tell us, has been in cinemas in and around Bournemouth. So I think Shaun, I can see why you guys are friends. There's a little bit of wind him up and let him go.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of wind him up and let go. So everybody, we hope you enjoy it. This is Butch. And thank you so much for coming up and joining us on the Netflix versus Cinema podcast interview. So, from what I understand, from what Shaun tells me, Shaun has been really, really keen that you come on and you talk to us and we actually have a chat with you, because he keeps telling this story about you working as a projectionist in a cinema.
That's right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, working as a projectionist in a cinema, was this in Bournemouth?
Yeah, this is the Odeon Cinema in Bournemouth, the original Odeon.
All right.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about the Odeon Cinema in Bournemouth. How did you end up working there?
I started there when I was 15 years old. I just left school, and I was always interested in films. I used to go there on the Saturday mornings,
Yeah.
And I applied for a job before I left school, and they said, come back in 6 months' time and we'll let you know. Anyway, I left school and I went, and they gave me the job 2 weeks after leaving school.
So what level of school was that at that time?
Secondary modern school, what they call a secondary modern school,
Oh yeah.
Good. Yeah, I left when I was 15, and the following year it went up to 16. Yeah, so I was lucky. I got out. I was only just 15. I was 15 on the 18th of July, and I left school on the 23rd of July. And then I actually started work on 8th of August, 1961.
So that means you said the original Odeon. So is that before the sort of big chain that we know now? The big Odeon.
What happened is in Bournemouth they had 2 cinemas. One was called the Gaumont.
Yep.
One was called the Odeon. They belonged to the Rank organisation.
Yeah.
Right? And also in there used to be about 15 to 16 cinemas in and around Bournemouth at that time.
Yeah.
And the Odeon was the top-notch cinema because they were equipped with 17mm films.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they had all the big epics. and when I started, they were showing the film The Alamo. So when people would say to me, how long have you been in the business? I said, since The Alamo. Anybody knows their history? The Alamo took place in 1836. Yeah.
Oh, so the Alamo, but the film. This was the big star-studded one with with your John Waynes and everything.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And, what year was that?
61.
1960. So you started up. You were there since 9. So you been a projectionist since 1961.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that means that you must have seen the change from Odeon to everything else to Cineworld. And I know Cineworld used to be something else.
Absolutely.
And then...
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, even in the time I was at the Odeon, there was the changes were coming in, like transistorized sound, rather than dull valve sound, and things like that. Xenon lamps instead of carbon arcs,
Yep.
They actually used our place as a test bed for some of these things,
Yeah.
Because in those days we had a lot of free time. Sometime every other day you didn't have a matinee, so you didn't show the film until the evening. So during the afternoon you could do all the maintenance and various other things,
Yeah.
And of course my claim to fame is working at the Odeon. We had the Sound of Music there for 19 months. 19.
What was that? When it was originally released?
That was 64, I think. The 64, 65, I think. The Sound of Music, yeah. And we had it with 19 months. We had 1,062 public showings of it, And we knew every damn word, every song, Yeah. But there we go. Yeah.
Okay, so as a projectionist, because we were speaking to somebody the other day, I think who's around about the same age as you. He used to work as a cinema usher, and he was talking about the fact that I know Shaun sometimes talks about the fact they had continuous performances where you just show the film over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he used to talk about sometimes that he would have to sit down there and he would have to watch one film over and over again. So, what one film do you remember that you think that was a pleasure to watch over and over again? And what
2001 Odyssey.
2001 A Space Odyssey. Okay, and that was straight off the bat. And okay, what one film do you remember watching and you think, oh my God, I can't believe I had to watch that over and over again?
The Godfather and Love Story.
Oh, wow. Okay, Shaun. Let's bring Shaun in. So, I'm just going to take Shaun off mute.
All right, yeah.
Hang on. Yeah, cool. Yeah. So, Shaun, what do you think about that? Because you've been talking Butch up, and you've been saying, yeah, Butch this and everything like that. And he says, oh my God, I really, really wish I don't have to sit through The Godfather again. And I know you quite like The Godfather.
Oh, I love The Godfather. But that must have had a long run as well, I would imagine. Butch,
that's a problem. It's a good film to see once, But when you're
I've watched it loads of times. It's up there with the top ones for me. But Love Story, I've got to agree with you. Love Story, that would drive you nuts.
Well, what we used to do, we had an alternative weeks for throughout the summer. We had Love Story one week, then The Godfather, next week.
Oh my God!
Oh, good Lord! So they were tag teaming. They were tag teaming.
The other film I enjoyed was Paint Your Wagon. That was great. Yeah?
Yes.
good musical. Yeah, really good. Yeah.
So Paint Your Wagon. So Shaun and I have been doing podcasts for about 6 years, and every now and then Paint Your Wagon shows up because
Yeah, great film. Great. Well, anything with Lee Marvin, it's got to be good,
Yeah, I know, because I know there's a whole bunch of people who don't like Paint Your Wagon because it's Lee Marvin singing in a musical.
You can't please everybody, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Okay, right. Okay, so we have a couple of questions that we usually ask, but before we get into those questions, I think Shaun has already briefed you and told you what questions he was going to ask. But before we go into the questions. Shaun keeps telling this story about how he would come over to the cinema and you would throw the keys out of the window to him. He would, and then he would sneak in the back, come into the projectionist and watch films for free. I'm guessing.
That's right. Well, we had our own. That's right. We had our own backdoor entrance to the projection room. So they had a doorbell. We ring the doorbell and throw the keys out. Come on up, have a cup of tea, watch some movies, chat.
Okay, so I'm guessing that we're safe because I'm guessing that you haven't worked in this cinema for a while. So I'm guessing that it's okay to talk about the fact that Shaun got to watch a whole bunch of films for free.
Yeah, well, I think the thing there was the cinema is automated, and it virtually ran itself. You was just there to make sure it's going to work.
Oh yeah, make sure that nothing goes wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I did. You did have to put the films together, though, Butch, didn't you? I remember you having the big cans and you had to splice them all together.
Yeah, we had to splice all the reels together and all that, yeah. And, do all the maintenance on the machines and that. Yeah, quite. Yeah. Yeah,
so,
we weren't just a matter of sitting around. The film was running, you know. Well, hard work come when the film wasn't running. You know? We had to do all that, you know.
But once the film started running, you were just kind of like lay back, cup of tea.
Well, just sit there, wait for it to finish, and lace it up again, and away it goes again. You know, make sure everything's all right. Make sure it's in focus. Make sure the sound's good. You know, yeah. But yeah.
All right, good stuff. I just want to say, okay, so Shaun has this whole thing because, as I said, we've been talking films for 6 years, and every now and then Shaun comes up with Sound of Music comes up, and we talk about like favorite songs. And Shaun's favorite song is "I Have Confidence in Sunshine, I Have Confidence in Rain." And I wanted to know, did you have anything to do with this?
No.
Okay, I was just thinking because you were saying you can essentially recite the Sound of Music forward and backwards. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm beginning to see a link here. Right. So, Butch, thanks so much. And I've got to ask you the name Butch. So that is not actually your real name. Shaun says that you.
No. Well, my real name is Dean.
All right.
But because I had an American father.
Oh yeah.
He nicknamed me Butch, and the name Butch came from the films industry. Funny enough, back in the 40s, and there's a series of films with our gang.
Okay, yeah.
They were known under different titles, and one of the characters was Baby Butch.
Oh yeah.
And they gave me that name, and it stuck. You know. Yeah. But my real name's Dean. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good stuff. Because I was wondering whether it had something to do with a certain Mr. Cassidy.
No.
Okay. All right. So now the questions that we usually ask on this interview, because what we're doing, I think Shaun's explained the format of what we usually do. We usually watch things at home on Netflix and all the different sort of streaming platforms. We watch 3 things a week, and we watch 3 things in the cinema, and we weigh them up, and we try and figure out where's our money better spent. Where was the money better spent this week? Was it in the cinemas or was it at home? But obviously at the moment cinemas are shut, so we can't do that. So what we're doing instead is that we're having these interviews, and we're asking people about their memories of cinema. What is it that they and the first question that we usually ask people is, what was the first film that you ever saw at the cinema that you remember getting up and going to the cinema to see?
Well, I think the very first one I remember was Dumbo.
Ooh, Dumbo! I like.
Yeah, I remember that. But I was saying to Shaun earlier on about a film I remember seeing, and why it stuck in my mind, I don't know. And it's called The Four-Sided Triangle.
Oh, yeah?
That came out in 1953, I think. So I must have been about 5 or 6 at the time or whatever. So my parents must have taken me to the cinema. And I looked it up, and it was a Hammer film, early Hammer film.
Oh, yeah?
Right? And the only scene I remember about it, and I don't know why, is that this guy, he's got this duplicating machine, and he duplicates another woman. The basic of the story is the girl he's in love with marries somebody else. So what he does, he either kidnaps her or makes a duplicate, clones her. You know?
Yeah. That does sound very Hammer. That sounds.
And that is the only bit I remember. And I was looking through some old film magazines one day, and there was this scene. I thought, the Four-Sided Triangle. Yeah. But there we go. Yeah, that's my earliest memories for some unknown reason. But yeah.
Well, you don't remember much about the film, but that bit just sort of sticks in your head.
Yeah, that bit just sticks in your head. I don't know why, and I can never remember the title of the film. Yeah, we weren't at that age, But until I saw it in these magazines years and years later. Yeah.
So you don't remember how the film ends or anything like that?
No. How it begins or how it ends or anything else. No, yeah.
So, Shaun, I'll tell you what, right? I reckon that when we have a wide or go to the widescreen weekend or something like that, maybe we need to find a print of the Four-Sided Triangle and have like a little Netflix versus cinema festival.
That's intrigued me. That's intrigued me. That's really intrigued me. Yeah, Four-Sided Triangle.
Yeah, and yeah. I just looked up in the Halliwells this morning.
Oh, Halliwell's Film Guide. What? How many? Okay, so how many?
Go ahead.
So Halliwell's Film Guide. How many copies of the Halliwell's Film Guide do you have? Like how many years?
I've just got that one. That's an old one.
Okay.
Because that's 2003. and I've got a Who's Who one as well.
Okay, just so for anybody who's listening to this and doesn't understand what at the moment we're recording this on Zoom, and I can see that Butch is in his study or something, or it looks like a film memorabilia room. You've got clapper boards behind you. I can see that you've got a parkan up on the shelf somewhere, like a sort of stage light. Yeah. I could. Is that a bird from Rio? Is that a parrot from Rio?
No, it came from a junk shop.
Okay, all right. And so we just have a whole bunch of stuff that he just has. Oh, okay, I see. You've got the cartoon Kim Basinger from Cool World.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, in there. The Lone Ranger. You got what is that? An original poster from what year of the Lone? Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody wondering what we're talking about? We will put this up on our Twitter and on our Facebook page so you can actually see as we're going around Butch's film Man Cave. Okay. So let's get back to the questions. So the second question that we usually have is, what was the last film you managed to catch at the cinema before the lockdown happened?
The last one I saw in the cinema?
Yep.
Was that one? The Homesman.
The Homesman?
Yeah.
Oh, what is that? Who does it start?
He actually directed Tommy Lee Jones and Hilary Swank.
Oh, I remember this was a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah. When he's escorting the women across the prairies to the nut house.
Okay, so it's a Tommy Lee Jones. So this is about probably 3 years ago that this film came out. Tommy Lee Jones directed in it with Hilary Swank as a Western. So and what how do you know? At the moment, you don't go to the cinema that much. Is that the case, or is it that?
No, I don't know. Funny enough, I hardly ever go to the cinema at all. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah.
Well, is there something that is it not just the same if you're not in a projection booth?
Well, it's not only that. The cinemas aren't the same. The atmosphere is never the same. Yeah. As I remember. So I remember the good old days, and today everybody's I don't know. The cinemas, they're never comfortable. Unless you're going to the new ones,
Yeah.
But then they all the expensive these days,
Yeah, it is quite expensive nowadays.
Yeah.
But Butch, I'll have to start taking you when I come over. Then I'll have to meet up and take over you. The last film I saw in Bournemouth, funny enough, that was at the brand new one they've built, and that was Apocalypse Now, the anniversary version.
Yeah.
But it is expensive. It is Toes. It is Bournemouth's expensive cinema. That's like I mean, just
what are we talking? 15 quid.
Yeah, up that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's very expensive. Yeah. The other one I saw there was The Revenants. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've got a friend of mine. We get selective, and we go to see what just the films we want to see. Yeah.
Yep.
That's two of them we saw here.
So what is your criteria when you're choosing? If you say we don't go to the cinema that often, we're going to see a certain different bits of film. What is your criteria for choosing what films you see?
What I see, well, I've got a load of DVDs, and what I started doing actually is collecting the films from way back. The films I've actually projected a lot of them,
Yeah.
And I do comparisons. Like I got last week I was watching The Getaway. I got two versions of The Getaway.
Oh yeah, the Alec Baldwin one and the Steve McQueen one.
And the Steve one, and things like that, and the Superman ones. And I do comparisons.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. And then I started buying obscure films, just as But I used to go to a friend of mine. We worked together at one time, and he used to run the arts here in London, and we used to go to, all these special viewings, which is good.
Yeah.
Of course, he's gone now, so I'd never go up to London at all. Which is a shame. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So okay, I know that you don't go to cinema that much nowadays, but you were talking about part of the reason why you don't go to cinema that much is because it's not the same as it used to be.
No.
So can you tell us, because the third question we usually ask people is, why do you think cinema is a thing? Why is cinema so great? So for you, when you say it's not the same as it used to be, what? Tell me a little bit about the magic of cinema. What is the magic of cinema for you?
Well, the magic of cinema was there were picture palaces, you know, there were dream factories, you know. When we went to the old cinemas, all the decor and, you know, all the lighting and, you know, the way that is presented, all the curtains and the tabs and all that, you know. And you got a show, and the idea is you went in, you were entertained for 2 hours, 3 hours, you know, you went in, you didn't know a projection existed unless the film broke down. And then his fault, you know. And then you came, I mean, you just go in, there's the manager be stood there welcoming people there, and you welcome people out. But nowadays you go in there, you never see anybody, you get a ticket out of the machine, you go in there and sit in, and every cinema looks the same. It's like a big black hole, you know, no tabs, no, you know. Then they show hours of adverts and trailers. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right. Yeah, and no, there's no magic in actually going to the cinema, you know. Yeah.
Oh, there's
film's
still
okay,
but
then yeah.
There's still magic, mate. Still magic going.
Yeah, I'm sure there's magic in what you see on the screen, yeah. But I don't think they. Yeah, yeah. Have you ever been to one of these hidden cinema things?
Oh, secret cinema.
Secret cinemas, yeah.
Yeah. I've been to one of the secret cinema things.
Yeah. I haven't, but I like the idea, just out of curiosity, you know.
Well, I think something that you might be, you know, that the drive-in cinema with COVID and everything, the drive-in cinema is making a comeback.
Yeah. So, I've been in America, way back, yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So with that, I mean, you were saying, because obviously we've done quite a few of these interviews now. I think we've probably done about 6 of the interviews on the actual podcast, and in the week that we're recording this, the podcast that's going to go up, we have somebody on the show who's super fan Nina, and for her, it's all, and this is something that keeps coming back again and again. People just keep saying it's about the experience. It's about the experience of going to the cinema.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
So for you, but at the moment you don't go to the cinema that much, but you love this. You love cinema. You love film. So at the moment, people are talking about cinemas being like that they might be going out of business. That they might never be the same again. So for you, could you imagine a world in which you don't have cinemas anymore, even if they're just these black boxes? You don't have cinemas anymore. You can only watch TV. You can only watch films at home on your TV.
Well, no, I think there always will be cinemas. I think they will be. You know, but in what form I don't know. You know, I mean, you know, cinemas have been over 100 years now. Been going. You know, and they're always changing. Of course, they're up against television at one time, and then and now Netflix. Netflix do their own films. But I don't think the cinemas will be big. I think they'll be more selective in what they're showing, and the audience will be more, you know. Yeah, but I think the majority of the people would just rather sit at home and watch. But the thing was, it's like when video came out, you know, video knocked the cinemas for quite a bit. But what happened there? People were fed up in the end and sit at home watching videos, and decided to go back out to the cinemas again because they wanted that experience of going out with a friend, you know, going somewhere, you know.
Yeah,
so we spoke about that last week, didn't we, Toes?
Yeah, we did.
Come up VHS. Yeah,
we did. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I've always been interested in the psychology of film and things like that, you know, and how it affects people, and you know.
Yeah.
And like I say, I select films like who's in it, who directs it, and things like this, you know. Or I've worked on films. I've worked in studios, you know. Things like this.
Yep. Okay, so which director would get you back into a cinema?
Which director? Well, Stanley Kubrick, but he's dead. Yeah. I've always been interested in Kubrick because he's, you know, the way he makes them and everything else. At the moment, I'm reading the biography of Don Siegel. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's pretty good. You know.
He was.
Okay. Good, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So is there anybody? Is there anybody alive? Any sort of like director or actor or something like that? You think, oh yeah, okay, I've got to go into the cinema to see what this guy's doing, see what they're all about. Well,
another thing. Well, a lot of people. Well, Clint Eastwood. He always makes good movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's coming up to what 90, 80, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, and he's still making good movies. You know.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of his later ones? But have you?
No, he's just made another one, hasn't he? No, I haven't.
I think his last one was Richard Jewell.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's
a good movie. I like that. Did you like that, Toast? Did you see Richard Jewell?
Yeah, I thought it was good, but it was only a 3 out of 5 for me.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did a review on that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Cool. So, with that, because our final question that we usually ask is, what are you most looking forward to seeing when cinemas reopen again? When after this lockdown is sort of lifted and allows people to go back into the cinema? But from what you said, it sounds like you're not particularly looking forward to seeing anything.
Well, not at the moment. I don't know what it's about at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. So I will change the question slightly and say, Shaun.
The Richard Dreyfuss one about the astronaut. I fancy seeing that one.
Oh,
the space. What it's called?
Oh yes. I've seen this. It's not a Netflix film.
Sorry.
I thought it was a Netflix film.
It probably is. I don't know. I just seen. I've seen the trailer for it on the and that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen this Richard Dreyfuss being. I think it's out at the moment on one of the streaming platforms. I can't remember what it's called though. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah.
Long time, is he?
Sorry, what's that?
He hasn't made a film for a long time.
He hasn't. No. I think he's pretty much retired.
Yeah.
But there's a film with him and Chevy Chase on Netflix where they're like an old sort of manager comedian where they're trying to come back, and it's called The Last Something. I think The Last Laugh. Yeah, it's called The Last Laugh.
Right.
That looks pretty. It looks quite interesting. So I'm going to change the question. I'm going to say Shaun.
Yes.
What are you going to drag Butch along to the cinema? Yeah.
Well, he's got a choice, Butch. I'll give you a choice here, and I will come and we will go for one of those because I got. What we can do is if I got a Meerkat thing and me Sydney World card, I can take you and get him for nothing. So you've got a choice. I'll give you Mulan, all right, the live action remake.
Yeah.
Possibly James Bond. The new one.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. What else is out, Toes? Give me a shout. What else is coming out?
Sorry, it's just the absolute look of the absolute look of being unimpressed. The absolute look of like, okay, oh yeah, yeah. What else you got? Butch looks totally unimpressed with any of those.
Tenant.
I think
Tenant.
The Christopher Nolan movie, which is. Yeah. I think that's the one that they're hoping to use to relaunch cinemas.
Yeah, that's right. When the cinema reopens, that's the one they're trying to push out. He's all right. He tends to overdo it a bit, I think. Nolan. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I want interest.
Okay.
Go on. Sorry.
And I was just going to say, Shaun, I think that is the most we're going to get. That is the most enthusiastic response we're going to get. So, yes, it's a deal. You take Butch to go see Tenet.
Tenant. Well, I drag him out again. It's only because it's only recently that we sort of reconnected, really, although sort of in the past. And it was, I just happened to see, because we used to do, believe it or not, American Civil War reenactments.
Oh yeah.
I happened to see your son posted some memorabilia stuff, and I'm actually in one of those old like newsreel ones. You can actually see me playing a dead person, so that's quite good to see.
Best part you ever played, I think.
Yeah.
It's like Shaun Harris, dead man.
Yeah. I always look good as a dead man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, cool. So, Butch,
you didn't mention the fact that I worked for the IMAX either.
Oh no, you worked at the IMAX, didn't you?
Worked at the IMAX.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Now, I'm going to ask you because I know Shaun's spoken about IMAX in the past, and I'm not a particular fan of IMAX. But you've seen all the changes, like throughout the cinema scope, all that sort of stuff, and IMAX was supposed to be this really, really big thing that was supposed to be, this is cinema, this is not TV, come back into the cinemas and all that. It was one of those gimmicks they tried to use, like when they used, I don't know, Smellorama or something to try and get people to come to the cinema. Yes. So, what do you think of IMAX? After having worked in IMAX, what do you think about it?
Well, I think the format was brilliant. But the IMAX they use now is all digital, so when I ran it, we had 3D IMAX, and that was really something, and that was using 70mm film, running horizontally, so you got a big frame,
yeah,
and the depth of field was great, but you had to have the right film to see it in, like the ones they shot out in space on the space station were absolutely brilliant,
yes, I remember that. So when did you stop working in the cinemas? When did you stop projection?
I stopped at 2003, so that I was doing it for 32 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh wow! Yeah. That's also, you pretty much owned the cinema.
Well, I went from the Odeon, then I went to the Gaumont, because the Gaumont had Cineramas, the single lens Cinerama, deep scope. So I got moved down there, and then from there I went to the ABC. I was at the ABC for 22 years. Then I left the ABC, went to the I did a bit of freelancing, and then I went into Cinerama. Then I went back to freelancing.
I reckon that you should set up like the Bournemouth Garden Cinema or something like that, where you should get like a big screen up, set the whole thing, because you probably know how to set one up on your own.
Well, yeah, that'd be nice, but I think someone's already thought of that one.
Okay, well, Butch, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for sharing with us your years of expertise. I have no doubt that at some point we will be calling you back and going, right, what do you think about this? But yeah, thank you so much for sharing. But it's been a pleasure to talk to you. And have a listen to the show. We'll let you know when it comes out, and it'll be and let's hope we get you into the cinema to see some films. And there's still something there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure there is. Yeah, but it's the trouble is the cinemas here, they always show all the very commercial stuff. That's the thing. Being a seaside town, they were what we really need is an art cinema down here. Really that shows different films. Because in the '60s, that's the thing I used to like, because when they had the what they was called the British quota, you had to show 40% of British films. We went into the EU, so we show all these foreign films, because you're still in the EU. We just get French films, Italian films, and they're great. You want something different, and instead of all these commercial films.
Well, instead of all the American films.
Oh yeah, well,
all the blockbusters.
Yes.
I think it's only going to be blockbusters now. I think they're only going to be making blockbusters. Well, I mean, I'm like you. I always like the independent films.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, see, they're run by businessmen. They're not run by showmen. That's what I said about in the old days. The cinemas are run by showmen. But now it's business. How much ice cream you can sell, how much popcorn we can sell. The film's only to get the people in.
Essentially, that's the way it works. Because I think cinemas don't make that much money off the film. The film studios make a lot of money off the film. Cinemas make a lot. So essentially, cinemas have made no money off me because I don't buy any food when I go there.
No, me neither. No.
I'm here for the film. Bye.
Exactly. Yeah, like flying Ryanair. Never buy anything on Ryanair. I don't even fly Ryanair.
Well, I think nobody's flying Ryanair right now. So
that's got to be good.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to say thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining us, Butch. Thanks for coming on, and we will let you know when the episode is up. It's been a pleasure.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, that was Butch. Once again, thank you very, very much for actually being on the show with us. Now, you see, this is the thing with him. Like, I know his real name isn't actually Butch, but at the beginning of it, I was thinking, his real name it's Dean, is it?
Dean.
Dean.
Yeah, his real name is Dean, but by the end of it, I was just thinking, he's Butch. But and it does fit him. I think it fits him.
It does. Yeah.
It really, really does.
So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, if you think from 15 years old, he basically started off in cinema,
Yeah.
But like you said, the stories, I mean, it was just great. Like, ring the little bell. Oh, yeah, Shaun. Drop down. There's quite a distance as well because it's up quite high. Oh, cheers. And up we go. I used to pick up all the little cuttings because, like, when he said he used to splice them together,
yeah,
I used to pick up all the like, oh, I want that, because there'd be like little frames, you know.
Yeah.
And I believe somewhere, if I can ever find them, I got a little small film tin with lots of little stills in. So, you know, little frames of film. So probably worth something these days. They weren't at the time.
You know, Shaun, in my head, the picture I now have is, you know, the film Cinema Paradiso.
Do you know that? Do you know, are you like a mind reader? Because I was just exactly thinking exactly the same thing.
So,
you know.
Yeah. So this the film Cinema Paradiso. So we've said before, we used to do another podcast called They Don't Make Them Like They Used to, and Joe, who was on that podcast with us, he set up the Facebook page, and on the the cover page, the cover still is a still from Cinema Paradiso, which is the old guy projectionist in the background with the thing, and the kid holding like a roll of film, looking at it with this massive smile on his face. The way you said that, you just made it sound like essentially your childhood was like Cinema Paradiso Bournemouth version. Yes. So how many films do you reckon you watched with Butch that way from the projection booth?
Right, let's go then. So, well, I used to go up to the projection booth, and I'd sit with him, and I'd like have a cup of tea, and then he would let me in through like the exit at he would let me in to actually watch the films. But while you was in the projection booth, you had, because it was because there were 3 screens, one that converted it. They had cameras for each of the films which were showing.
Oh yeah.
So, and I could look and say, or choose which one, and then he'd take me down, open like the little fire, not a fire exit, but yeah, I suppose a fire exit. And I used to go and just sit and watch the film. So let's have a look. What we're looking at? We're probably looking at from, I would say, probably, well, let's just say Close Encounters to probably.
So what were you doing? Been a teenager then, Shawnee?
Yeah, I was a teenager. Yeah, I wasn't quite young. Yeah, so I was a teenager. So I'd say, yeah, Star Wars, Close Encounters era. So
77.
That would be 77. Yeah, 77. And then, so I'd have been 17. And then I used to. Well, I'd say. Well, I remember Scarface. What year was Scarface?
Ooh, that was 80 something.
The Al Pacino one.
That was 80 something.
Okay, so good 10 years then. Good 10 years.
So good Lord. So you say you did not pay.
I remember.
It was 83. Scarface was 83.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, and I'm sure there's a few more after. I'll tell you for why I always remember Scarface being one, because I actually saw the tellies that were in the corner, and actually it was already showing Scarface, so you could actually see. And there's the balcony scene, at the end. And I looked.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that looks good. And I said, oh, Butch, can I go and see that one? He goes, yeah, next performance is in about half an hour. So I sat there, I'd have a cup of tea, look at the film stills. I mean, and then he'd let me in, and so that's why I remember Scarface. So yeah.
So you're saying, so definitely a 5-6 year period. I think it
would definitely be a 6 year period.
So you're saying for a 6 year period, you didn't pay to go to the cinema?
No. Although I did used to. There was a guy. There used to be a chartered train that would go up to London. So there was like, and I used to go out. It was £1. It cost £1.
Yeah.
And the guy used to charter a plane. It was just, you went up about 10 o'clock and you came back about 8 o'clock. And I remember going to see the films I saw there was, and I think I've got a little picture of me dressed in real sort of clothes. I remember going to see The Empire Strikes Back at the Odeon Leicester Square.
Oh yeah.
No, Odeon Marble Arch. So I used to go up there. I used to go up with a guy called Rob, his name was, and we used to go up and we go because he was really into his cinema things as well. So we used to go up and just spend like a day going to Wardle Street, Cannon Street, and they used to be. So he used to like to go to a place called Cheapo Records, which was a place. And the weirdest thing is with Cheapo Records is I was looking through all my old records, and I've still got labels. There's one called the film called Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, and it's got very good condition for £2. You know what I mean? So a vinyl and old vinyl stuff. And so yeah, so we go up to London for the day, and that was the time I did used to have to pay then, and that was a little bit more, but it was worth it, Yeah. And I think I saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre because that was London only certificate. Okay. So so I've always been into my movies.
Yeah, we're going to call Shaun back from memory lane. Come Back from Memory.
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
No. It's good. It's good. Okay, so Shaun's Back from Memory Lane, and I'll just like to say everybody needs to have a Butch in their lives. Because
Yeah, I was very lucky, really.
do you reckon that he ever thought that you were going to be his apprentice and take over him one day, Cinema Paradiso style?
See, so no, I don't really think so. No, I don't think that was. I mean, I think it would have been fascinating. That it would have been an interesting job, but I didn't really think of it at that time of actually, going that way.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was. I mean, it's really good. I used to love it. I just turn up. I go into town, and I'd think, oh yeah, I'll go watch a movie. Or if there was a movie on, I'd go watch it. And I wish I'd have kept I've got. I tell you, I had some posters, and I put them on bedroom wall. I think I've told this story countless times, but I had Assault on Precinct 13, which was a poster. I had the Star Wars original poster, Close Encounters poster, and I had them all on my bedroom wall. I had them all, and then they were up there for ages. And then I think I went away or something, and my parents decided it was a time to redecorate my room.
Yeah,
they just gutted
got rid
it.
of all of them. Yeah. You still have some good ones, but okay. So Sharon, Sharon, was there anything that you wanted to add to the whole Butch thing?
Well, I thought he had some interesting films that he sort of trotted out with us. I have absolutely never heard of the four-sided triangle.
Oh, no, four-sided triangle.
Can you have a four-sided triangle? It's not a triangle anymore. If it's not
and this goes back to one of my things about how the film titles said something that made you go, ooh. What's that all about? What's that? It's like I know that Netflix has a new season that has a title like that makes you go, what the heck? And makes you actually want.
What's that?
It's Warrior Nun.
No.
Yeah. And what's Warrior?
Oh, is that based on the Morgan Rice books?
I don't know.
Maybe not.
I don't know.
I
just saw it might be. I just saw the notification came up on YouTube for a new Netflix what's the word? Netflix trailer, and it was Warrior Nun, and I saw the title and I was like, you know what? I'm going to give the trailer a watch. I might not watch the show, but I'm going to watch the trailer just for that title alone. So
I love to look at that trailer.
So you were saying four-sided triangle.
Yeah, I'd never heard. And obviously, that's the film that had the most impact on him because it was a few scenes that he went, ooh, when he was a child.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I've never heard of that. So interesting. But yeah, because he touched on quite a lot of films, but he didn't actually talk about the films, did he? So no, we touched upon, like Dumbo is the first film he saw, and that he'd seen Sound of Music endless times.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
Endless times. And the thing is, the funny thing is,
if we sort of threw a line at him, he'd know exactly where that was. If we said, Rolf, he'd go, hey, right at the end.
So the thing with it, right? Okay, the thing with that is he's watched it countless times. He's seen loads of films countless times, but he wasn't tired of Sound of Music. And I thought it was funny when I asked him the questions as to which ones he's tired of, that he's never want to see that again, and which one he's like, that was a joke. And it was like, The Godfather. He didn't have to think about it.
He didn't hesitate. He was like, yeah, I never wanted to see that film again.
I mean, that wasn't even a question I prepped him with. It was one I just came up with at the spot, and he just straight away had an answer. It was like,
but that's like some music, isn't it? You can hear a song and go, wow, that's an amazing song, and then you hear it a few more times, you're thinking, yeah, that's a really good song, and then you hear it a few more times and you think, I never want to hear that song ever again. And there's some songs you just want to keep on hearing, and they never get old. But some ones, it's like you do go through this arc of like, yeah, love it, and then it's like, okay, not so much. Then it's like, okay, I hate it now. So I think there are films like that where you think amazing, and then familiarity breeds contempt.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think if you hear a song the first time and you really like it straight away on the first time, then to me, after you've heard it a lot of times, you get fed up with it. A song you hear or a piece of music you hear, sometimes you think, yeah, that's all right. And then you listen to it again, you think, oh, that's blooming good. And then the third time you think, yeah, that's really, really good.
Yeah, like the Avengers theme tune.
I mean, like the Avengers theme tunes. Yeah. And but what really drives me mad is it's Christmas. I know that's right, but I love Christmas. But that song just like, oh my God, no, please. Every 32 minutes.
Okay.
Again, he didn't elaborate on either, but he said one of his favourite films was like 2001: A Space Odyssey, but he didn't elaborate on that, did he?
Yeah, no, he didn't. Yeah.
Really, in passing.
One thing he was really, really interested in, I remember, was because he had like a little mock-up of Apollo 8 and all that. He was very, very much into the space program, really, really big time into the space program.
Yeah, he talked about the IMAX films, didn't he?
In the IMAX, yeah. So he's really in. He was really into the space. I remember because that was the first time I didn't realise that the lunar module, the lunar landing module, was actually when they get into orbit and then they turn it round. You know, I mean, I just never thought about it until, but it was him that was, because he used to have little diagrams on the wall. He had like this thing of like what they used to do when they go up into space.
Well, so in the production booth.
So they go up into like the Earth's atmosphere, and then a bit like You Only Live Twice, you know.
Oh yeah. I remember.
But it sounds like he's got an interesting man cave, though, doesn't it? He's got all sorts of things in his man cave. I obviously didn't get to see that, but you did.
We will put on the clip, because obviously it was on a Zoom call, so we had like a video thing, and we'll put on the clip of Butch showing us the things around the man cave, because I understand, okay, it's audio, it's a podcast, and if you're listening to this, you'll be like, what on earth were we talking about? I think I tried to talk through the things that we were seeing, but we'll also put up the clip onto Twitter and our Facebook page to show the different things that Butch was showing us in his man cave. But it is an interesting film buff man cave, so make notes.
I want to know what Sharon thinks, because you haven't seen it, have you, Sharon? I mean, I know what he looks like. And I now know what he looks like because we had to see his man cave. Looks like. So it's just you, Sharon.
Yes. I don't know. I was thinking Arthur Lowe, but with a lot more hair.
Who's Arthur Lowe?
Arthur Lowe?
Captain Mannering. No.
Captain Mannering.
Oh.
I was thinking Captain Mannering, but with a lot more hair. So, but not. I didn't think of him as being balding. I thought of him just had like lots of grey hair. So that was that sort of, not a smaller man, but interested in what he's interested in. So that was my picture, was like a slightly Captain Mannering type physical figure with lots of more grey hair.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Okay. We'll post the video. We'll post the video, and we'll see how it is. I can't talk about the height. I'll be Sean can say a little bit more about that. But we'll post the video up online. Sharon, you have a look at it.
Okay.
I would say, all right.
Yep.
Cool.
The height's good.
I don't put it this way, Sharon. I don't think you are a million miles off.
No,
I don't think you're a million miles off. All right, so thank you very much to Butch. Thank you for coming on the show. And now, who wants to hear some film quiz answers?
Yes, please.
Oh, yes, please.
Who wants to hear some film quiz answers? All right, so thank you, Patrick. We, at the beginning of the show, some of you might have listened to the quotes at the beginning of the show, and I'm trying to figure out what films those were. And I now have the answers. I have opened them up in front of me. And number one, we had I'd Make a Good Gordon, and from the same film, Are There Two Eyes in Dollar? Oh, Are There Two Eyes in Dollar? No, I mean, that must be L's. Okay, yeah, no, it must be, Are There Two L's in Dollar? And there's two G's in Bugger Off. That was the first film. And that was, any final guesses on that?
No, I couldn't.
No.
That was Local Hero.
No. Oh, wow,
right.
okay.
Okay.
Right. Now.
Of course, Gordon Scottish. He's up in Scotland, isn't it? So,
yeah. And there's the I.
Good film.
And there's two G's in Bugger Off. I'm not going to attempt a Scottish. I'm not going to attempt a Scottish accent. Okay. What's the matter? No, this is quote number 2. What's the matter? You never had your hand on a teat before. Not one this size.
Yeah, so I think Sharon's probably close with a Carry On.
Carry On. I've got.
It's American. Okay, think American film. Think somebody being in a rural setting where they might have to milk a cow.
Is it one of the ones with the City Slickers?
No, it's Witness.
Oh wow!
Right.
Okay. Harrison Ford.
Yeah, now I can imagine Harrison Ford going, not one this size. I can totally imagine this. Okay, now number 3. Is this heaven? No, it's Iowa.
Field of Dreams.
Yes, Field of Dreams. You're right on that. And now we had Here. And from the same film, if I medicined you, you'd think a brain tumor was a birthday present. That I think we had no idea on that one.
No idea.
No idea.
That was With Nil and I.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. And now, if only you'd seen what I've seen with your eyes, number 5.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
we were intrigued by this one.
I had no idea, but
Have we landed on an answer? Have we landed on an answer that we're going to go forward with?
Go on, stick with Sharon. Sharon, we've got to stick with it now, yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. We should have stuck with our first guess. It was actually Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, right.
It was Blade Runner.
It was Blade Runner. I think it is one of those. I think we were when we were speculating. I think it's from the first part of the Roy Batty scene before he starts talking about. I've seen things surfing off the edge of something else. I've seen, and I know some people are gonna. What the? How do you not know that word for word? Sorry, I don't know the word Batty thing word for word.
Because there's that creepy guy as well. There's the creepy scientific guy who makes all the experiments on all the dolls and things, isn't there?
Yeah.
Where you get all the dolls that.
Yes, it's the bit where it's Roy Batty and Daryl Hannah, and they go and meet the creepy guy who makes the replicants, and they
meet the creator guy,
and they say that to him before they do something to his eyes, don't they?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I think it's him, the creepy guy. I don't think it's Roy Batty.
Oh.
Creepy guy. Creepy guy.
Okay, cool. Number 6. For You Are in Elysium and Already Dead.
We got that one, didn't we?
We got that one. Gladiator.
Yeah.
In his brackets, he wrote continuing the Ridley Scott theme. Now, number 7. All right. Now, Shaun, he did mention this film. I remember him mentioning this film was one of his favorite films ever in his interview. And he said, whatever your dream was, it wasn't a very happy one, was it? That was... You, Sharon, you were going to say something?
No, I thought it was a matter of life and death, but he didn't mention that in his...
Yeah, no, he didn't.
His interview.
It's Brief Encounter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Brief Encounter. Oh, well.
Okay, number 8. I'll be right there after my AA meeting. Oh, Larry, I didn't realize you had a drinking problem. Well, I don't really, but that's where all the deals are being made these days.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the player. You got the film from my description. Yes, so I think... Thank you for giving me the title, but I'm pretty sure that's the player.
You are bang on. That is the player. That is Robert Altman's the player. Then number 9. You don't fancy me, do you, miss?
Notes on a Scandal.
Billy Elliot.
Oh,
wow.
Billy Elliot.
Yes, Billy Elliot. Number 10. You should see the other guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Predator.
Yeah, okay. Fargo.
You see, that's overrated for me.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have got that.
Yeah. I don't understand why people love Fargo as much as they do. I liked it, but I don't understand why they love it as much as they do. And number 11, I'll Have What She's Having.
I got that.
Yeah, we all got that. When Harry Met Sally.
Sally.
And number 12, and tomorrow we come back and we cut off your Johnson.
So I can almost hear Arnie saying that.
Blazing Saddles.
It's a film that is probably about as random as Blazing Saddles. It is The Big Lebowski.
Oh, right, okay. The Big Lebowski, yeah.
I wouldn't have got that.
Okay, so Patrick, thank you very much for entertaining us and showing us up as not paying attention to some films that we have
just rubbish it.
that we have watched. Thank you very much and also for entertaining our listeners in trying to figure out what film is that. I know there's some people who are going to be like With Nil and I, because I know way too many people who can quote With Nil and I backwards. And I don't get it, but anyway,
we got 4 out of 12, so it's not it's not a good
it's
not a glowing endorsement, is it?
It's better, well, with your help I managed to double my score, which tells you something.
That's a good thing though. I might have to do that. I might have to do that myself. come up. We should all do that. We should all come up with lines.
Yeah, come up with lines and see if we can figure out what film it is from. All right, and I think that is it for this week. And until next week, when I might actually manage to drag myself to finish watching Artemis Fowl, and I feel that this is going to be a big rant coming. I feel it's going to be a big rant coming because I think I've seen about half of it, and I'm like, oh, for goodness sake, please. But finish up Artemis Fowl, and I also want to see The Five Bloods, and
The Five Bloods. Yeah, that sounds good.
And until next week, it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
We will see you guys next week. Thank you very much.